All right. Well, this is John Furukawa at Fresh Consulting here with Devon Horace from Portland Seed Fund, and we are going to talk about the Oregon Entrepreneur Network PubTalk coming right up. How are you, Devon?
I am well. I'm trying to get myself through this weather, but this fall has been beautiful actually. The sun's been out, the trees and everything. It's been a beautiful fall, but all is well. All is well.
Yeah, I had to pull out the gloves, and I was like, "Where are my gloves?" That was the kind of the moment that I had yesterday because we did a walk. So yeah, that was a moment. All right. Well, it's also been in addition to cold weather, it's been an interesting cold weather year for funding.
Whew,
We
tell me about it.
so of all the drama we managed to have in 2023 in the funding landscape, what stood out to you as being the big one?
Honestly, there were so many that were out there, but I think the biggest one to me was the SVB, like the bank run. Oh my goodness, like that really was like a shocker to the system. Really, it was one of those things where it was like, this can't be happening. And then with that happening or along that line, it was like First Republic Bank and then all these other smaller banks, and it's like at least from a founders kind of like investor startup standpoint, it was like, well, I got to put my money out and I got to put it somewhere else. And you start seeing a lot of influx flow into like Chase and Bank of America kind of deposits, but it was just so like, is this really happening? That was like a very real shocker to the system and to the entrepreneur ecosystem. I feel.
Yeah, it was really something. In fact, it was the first time Angela Jackson, with Portland Seed Fund,
Mm.
texted me. Marcelino, my former partner, put her on a thread and was like, "Hey, we got to get everybody together to talk about this." And took a few days, and we hosted them at Fresh Consulting. But it
Right,
was
right,
like
right.
there was nothing to do but kind of like come together. And a weird side effect of all the people who were affected, there were also the startups that for some reason didn't have any or all their money there, and they had all this guilt,
Right,
because
right.
it was still a torpedo to the whole normalcy of the funding landscape. But here they were like,
Mm.
I think I dodged the main bullet, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, this no one stayed dry on that one. Well, yeah, I
I
thought
think
so.
that's a I think that's another like just in the means of that being really a shocker to the system when entrepreneurs and when founders they say we're looking for investors, right? There's, as we know, there's different types of investors, and it's like I'm looking for someone that's going to be a team player and that's going to really help us out versus just give me the check and go about your business. So I feel like Portland Seed Fund, especially Angela, how great she is. That was a time where Portland Seed Fund really stepped up and was like, hey, let's get our portfolio company together, see how to mitigate this thing. And, this was like I said, this was a very hard time, a very mind shuffling time. And it was like, well, let's get everybody at Fresh, together at Fresh Consulting, and then let's have dinner. Like, let's like see how we can weather this storm together. And I was like, that's a fun you want to be a part of, right? That's an ecosystem you want to be a part of because you hear other stories from other sides of things, and it's like, well, like they did it like it's like where are the people at, right? Where are these investors? Where are the people we're trying to get a hold of? And it's like, well, figure it out. So
Yeah,
I think that was a very strong play. Not only a strong play, but it really showed the power of Portland Seed Fund support within the ecosystem.
yeah, I was really taken aback actually just to see how strong a response it was. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes a crisis to realize where your community is, but it really
Right.
showed up for me. I saw so much support and kindness in the OEN network as well. There was just a lot of outreach. But the ripples continued on, and I think that the
Mm.
trend of less funding and more scrutiny and more delays on funding and check writing, has been a truism since then. And also, there was other factors already weighing down on it. What have you
Right. Right.
shifted inside of that trend? As a venture capital group, like what are you uh, adjusting in that with the
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we all are aware of what's going on in the market, the rapid increase of interest rates, and we're looking at funding from a standpoint of really like what's out there, right? Like we're in a time within the economy where a lot of investors are, kind of like just holding on to their money and really making more strategic, very spot on investments. For a while, when we had this influx of money coming in, like the government printing money, as they say, there was everybody was just kind of like just put a couple million in this, put a billion in that, for the bigger funds. And it's like now when we see that again, instant rapid increase of interest rates, some of the bank failures, this whole thing with SBF, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, like with cryptocurrency, it's just like now everybody's like, okay, there's a lot of money out there that's being burned, a lot of cash burn. It's like you have to be more strategic. So, at least from a Portland Sea Fund 4 standpoint, we have been looking over our portfolio companies. We have been, making more strategic plays, kind of like doing follow-ups and just like really investing in our companies that we currently have in our portfolio, and still on the lookout for other ones. But we have to be a bit more precise on our investment strategy. We have to be a little bit more focused and letting our LPs and let everyone know is like, hey, this is a tough market. We're looking at, some people were saying like we're looking at a market like around 2003, and during that time it was just very stagnant. It didn't really move, it didn't really go anywhere. It just was like it's not 2008 2009, but 2003 was just a weird spot, where it was just like sitting there. So that's kind of what we're looking at today. And from an angel investor standpoint, I am making, I'm just looking at investments and I'm like, well, how resilient are you as an investor? Like, how creative are you as an investor to get through these times, right? Like, this is where that grit, this is where that consistency, this is where that like real determination come in at. And, when you're investing early within these seed, companies, pre-seed companies, you're really looking at that founder and be like, do you got it? Like, like, do you got that fight in you? Do you got that dog in you to be like, I'm going to see it through and I'm going to weather the storm? Because once you get on the other side, you're like, I invested in the right person. I invested in the right company. So right now we're just kind of looking over our portfolio, making sure that our companies are in a good place, making sure our LPs are up to date on the market and something with what to expect from our portfolio, and just keeping everybody in a loop as this constant change is happening. Next year is election year. So as we all know in finance, nothing really moves during election year. So this is going to be a time where, it's just like, what are we waiting for? So, during this time, I think it's a good time to, again, go back and reflect on what's good happening, kind of support initiatives like OEN and other things that's happening out in the ecosystem. But, there are investments out there. We just have to be, the fine tooth comb has to just be a little finer. And we just need to really pick and choose and again, nurture and foster our current portfolio companies.
Yeah, well, I think it's really clear that you do that. So I think that's, it's authentic to say that's what you are trying to do. You mentioned grit out of the founders, and I think that I would have to agree that's task number one in hard times anyway. What else, or maybe if you're looking at your founders or founders that you already have, or if you're trying to evaluate a founder who would like to be supported by Portland Seed Fund, what else would you look for in their company situation? Maybe something they could dress up or they could change that would make them look better for these times, in addition to the grit to put their helmet on and go through it.
So we have an amazing team with Portland Sea Fund 4 and Portland Sea Fund in general with Jim, Jen, Steve, Angela, right? So within Portfolio 4, which I'm a part of, I'm principal there. We have Angela and Steve and myself, and we all kind of come together like a mind men sort of say, and we just be like, all right, what are we looking for? What do we cohesively come together and find out? But not speaking for them, but speaking for the team, it's like during this time, a lot of founders are going to have to make tough decisions, whether that's layoffs, whether that's cut back on operational costs, whether that's, like not paying yourself, they're already not paying themselves, majority of them, sure. Right? But this even less, no more business dinners. But it's like during this time, you know, again, as I always keep saying, I want founders to weather the storm. I want them to say, hey, here's our runway. Like, we built enough runway or we raised enough capital to be able to last for the next, 2-3 years, honestly, because we don't know what's going to happen with 2024. But then also, like, the way that the interest rates are happening, and then also like banks, they're not really loaning, so you're looking at a lot of more investors. But then the investors, LPs, I mean by investors, they're kind of like, well, I could put my money in a bond, or I could just like play it safe. The risk isn't so appealing at the moment. So right now in founders, I'm just like, hey, when you're shipping out that data room, and by shipping, I mean like when you're displaying the data room, be exact with your numbers. Like, try to be exact as possible. I know that it's forecasting. I know there's certain things where we may not be aware of. I don't think anybody would have thought interest rates going up like 3 to 4% in just 1 year. That's insane. So just being a bit more precise on your data. When you're going to these portfolio companies, or you're going to these VCs, you're going to these investors, I always like to hear a founder start off with just like, why are you doing this? Like, what is, like, because if you have this, like, well, I see something in the market and I feel like I can fill the void. It's like, what's the soul behind it? Like, why are you doing this? I get it. You're trying to fill a gap. Got it. But like, how does this personally affect you? Because there is a sense of personal connection to a product or to a business where it's like, you're willing to give it more attention. You're willing to give it more of your all because you do have that personal tie. Like, there are some people that's in fintech where it's like, well, I was tired of, looking through apps and my information being sold and things were disorganized, and I just want to make it simpler, faster, smarter. There are people in green energy, and sustainability that's just like, hey, like, I see there's an issue with compost and recycling, and we can make it a simpler way, faster way. But I'm trying to find solutions for me and my family, these things that are personally tied to them. So really emphasize on that story, and show like how you're making a difference for the society in a whole, instead of just being like, I'm going to create the next Facebook, or I'm going to create the next TikTok. You're like, all right, I mean, those are great things. Show me where that deck is. But it's like, but it's also like, what is the problem that you're solving, and being, and even within that problem, just being a bit more precise, and really honing in or focusing in on the MVP, and what you're trying to bring to the market. So that's kind of what I'm looking for personally today. As companies come through, they're just like, we need money, and I'm like, I get it, like, yeah, this is this, get the money. But also, it's like investors are a lot more incentivized to invest in you when they see that fire in you, when they be like, you know what, this means a lot to this person. So I know they're not just going to give up. I know when there's a bank run, I know when times are hard, they're not going to give up. And they'd be like, I'm willing to make that calculated risk for this person, because this person is showing me that it means more than just a payday for them.
So you've been on the judge's side of the table. Now, let's say, and I'm not suggesting you do it because you're doing a great job. Let's say you were not at Portland Seed Fund. You weren't focused on investing. Maybe you continue to do the financial literacy work you've been doing. That sounds all right. But you want to do a startup. What industry, maybe what technology, and what problem do you think would be a good one? What would get that fire going for you January 1st, 2024?
Oh, wow. Okay. Like, I've been thinking about this because, just helping a bunch of entrepreneurs and being entrepreneur, creative spirited myself. I would actually really focus on green energy, like tech. And I say that because, not the fad, but like, I just think like the future, we're looking at how to reduce cost and like, fossil fuels, and we're looking at how to use like things like looking at what is it? Looking at things like nuclear energy for a power source. I find that fascinating, right? And then I just recently took a trip to China, and I was looking at some of their innovative like build outs, and they have an eco city. And I was like, this is fascinating, where they're recycling the water and it's going through a system within, like under the ground, and it's layered a certain way. And then also they're taking wastelands and turn them into whole eco cities with solar, electrical, like these power grids, solar panels. And and being in Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, I was like, these should be like beacons of this model. Like, at least Portland, we have all the things in Portland, like,
Yeah.
Rain, mountains, sun, agriculture, all these different things. And I was like, Silicon Valley is known for, tech and Palo Alto and stuff. And New York is New York. LA is, surfing and stuff. Portland need to be like eco city.
We got to get
like like Oregon needs to be an eco state. So that would be something I would really invest in. And other than that, it would be chips, like the manufactured chips for PCs, CPU. Not the edible chips.
I was going to buy those. I was your first buyer on that one, but
Hey, the funny thing, really quick, funny thing. It's so hard to get into to like edible consumer products, because the waste is so, like, the people who are successful now, like, bravo, you figured out the formula. But it's like running a restaurant. You're just like, all right, food is done, like, throw it all out. You're like, what? So
Hustle.
It's like all that money and all that material. But yeah, so it would be like manufactured chips for like CPU, because continuously there's going to be more technological advancements with AI, AR, VR, like all the acronyms, and then green energy, because I just personally feel like we can and we will do a better job with green energy and conserving energy, and find a better way to power our industry. But right now, I feel like we can do a better job, and there's so many different initiatives and people looking towards that strategy to make it happen. So.
All right, well, let's get a drink after this call and see if we can, get one of these things going, because that all sounds good to me. Up. Yeah. It's the best way to get funding is to ask the investors, what are they going to start? Okay, well, the real problem with the economy is people got to spend their money. And if you were to give advice to those who love their local founder for what they should buy that founder as a gift for this holiday season, what do you think they should? What should they get? What would make
a year subscription of their CRM. just donate to the CRM.
Just like, the CRM fund.
If it's like a shipping thing they use, like ShipStation or something like that, if it's Calendly, if it's Airtable or Asana, just be like, my gift to you is a year subscription. Now you can take this off your operation costs. Like,
I love it.
Merry Christmas. Now you can run your business, right? Because you have all these different operational costs. Like, you just like, here you go. Now, if you're someone of means and you want to be very jolly this Christmas, maybe you can help them from offer your services or help them from a accounting standpoint. I feel like a lot of founders, when it comes to accounting and finances, because of the structure of a business, it can get in the weeds a bit, and you want to hire a professional. You want to hire someone. Again, you're a startup founder, so you have so much money for resources, but legal and finance are the two things you do not want to cut corners on. Like, find that person, hire that person, pay them. So if you're somebody who's looking to spread some holiday joy and spirits, be like, your accountant, I'll help you out. I'll help you out there. Give you a couple $100, and we'll, whatever that takes you. QuickBooks. I'll pay for your QuickBooks subscription.
QuickBooks,
right?
That's great. Well, KBF is a sponsor for this next PubTalk, so maybe they can just,
Oh, there you go.
Send Peter Buss a little something.
Exactly. Or, just be like, here you go. Like, accountant on us. Like, great.
That's right. Well, I love it. Those are great ideas. I love the idea of saying, like, I'm buying you a year of easy meeting planning, or I'm buying you a year of drop shipping, or it's just,
right. Well, because some people, because you're always selling, right? So you're just like, like, buy my product, or like, share my message out. And it's like, cool, those things you can do. Like, all right, like it is a way of supporting.
Yeah.
But if you really want to help a founder to do those things that I said, like,
That's great.
here's a year of QuickBooks. There you go.
straight from the observer's eyes. So why do you support Oregon Entrepreneur Network, Devon?
Man, I mean, like, one, small but mighty team over there. Like, OEN is like, they're trying to get things done. They're creating all of these different events. They're really trying to put together the entrepreneur ecosystem in Portland, Oregon, and Oregon in general, mainly in Portland. But I feel like at one point I was like, man, we're having so many events, but so many people come to them. And I was like, well, they're actually filling a need. And not only that, they're putting people and entrepreneurs, and people who are thinking about being entrepreneurs or starting their own business. They're providing them resources and really a guide into getting into this in a safe way. But I mean, it's started from lawyers to like, LLC filings and then corporation filings, all the way to like accountings, all the way to like actually building your team. So I feel like these are, one of these, like, they don't really call themselves an incubator, when you think about like, Techstars and Y Combinator, but they can swing with them, like they have the resources. They have a great lineup of investors like myself and different funds. I mean, and people like yourself, John. So it's just like, they have an influx of resources, and they're just like, hey, we're here for the entrepreneur. And, we have these events. We have, what is it? AO Angel, Bio, like all these different programs that they have, and it's like here are so many opportunities to get your thought and your idea and your business in front of these people, and OEN for me, I feel like has been a leader in that. There's other places and there's other organizations that do things, but when I'm thinking about like Portland ecosystem, startup ecosystem, I'm thinking OEN. Like I'm just like, man.
Yep.
I mean, we just attended the OEN Awards, and it was so much energy there. It was so much like support and people really coming together. And we got people from these legacy VCs. We got people from like Bank of America and lawyer firms, and like we're all like together, like all these different like Umpqua Bank. Like we got all these people coming together. Like how do we continue to support and nurture our entrepreneur ecosystem here in Oregon? And again, like OEN it has been able to really build these and put these relationships together. Kara, Alex, and Riley. Like again, like then they have the board members, of course, but like this team is a small, mighty team. Like the board members.
Amazing.
Who whatever, but like that team is just like scrappy. OEN is like a startup. Like they're scrappy, they make it happen, and they're like, please donate, right? But it's like we're gonna do the best we can with the money we got. And I think of OEN as a startup actually. Now that I sit here and think about it, I'm like, yeah, they're like, man, they do great work there.
They really do. Yeah, that was a great event. They also got that entire community to sing together, which I thought was pretty remarkable. Like that's a new.
If you ever go to a award show and do a sing along, you clearly got something figured out.
Yeah,
you clearly got the formula figured out.
That was the punctuation mark on the end of that sentence. It was just like, okay, we are a group together because we're the choir. We're the choir.
Right.
That was great. All right. Well, it's a little bittersweet for me because this next Pub Talk is the last one of the year.
Yeah.
And it's the last one that we're hosting at Fresh Consulting because Riley's lined up some cool new stuff for next year. Mm-hmm. So what do we have in stock for this one? What are you going to do? You're moderating. That's why we're talking to you. But what's the plan, man?
So with this Pub Talk, we really want to, just go over the year. We just want to say you survived thus far. Like, we're here. Like, like we can put our shoulders down a little bit for the holiday, but it's just like, some of the questions or some of the things that I want to cover within this conversation is like, what have you learned from this year, and what can you pass on to other entrepreneurs and other founders that are looking, to continue on or just need a sense of motivation or direction. What are some like main takeaways from the constant shifts, but then also like what resources do you have available? I want this time to be not only a recap, but also gearing up for the next year, gearing up for the next quarter, and just being resourceful. Because again, we are an ecosystem, and that's how our ecosystem works, right? We all kind of work in this cycle together. So it's like, yes, let's highlight the things and let's talk about something, because your issues may be other people's issues, and you don't even know, right?
Turns
So
out.
this is an opportunity to do so. And we have some amazing entrepreneurs that's going to be joining the talk. A lot of them Portland Seed Fund portfolio companies, but these are companies that are like, they've been stretched down the line. They're in different stages of their companies, and they have a lot to offer and a lot to share. So I'm looking forward to the discussion. And again, we have some pretty good questions lined up, but it's going to really be about recapping and being resourceful. You're right, like spreading the holiday spirit or holiday joy. Is like, what can you tell the next entrepreneur? What can you tell the current entrepreneur that's stuck on something, or just in this stagnant place? Like, being resourceful and always giving back to the community of which you come from.
Totally. And I think you're going to be a lively moderator
Yeah,
based on this conversation. So this is on Wednesday, December 13th. We're going to be at Fresh Consulting. It's going to be a bunch of people there. And as you know, we always have great food because of OEN being so involved in our food startup universe. So I am already hungry. And really looking forward to it. Devon, thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. I really appreciate this, man. Thank you.